The Rippaverse has another successful release with the distribution of Gooding the Polymath, written by Mike Barron and drawn by Will Conrad, with coloring by Jay Brown. This is truly another exciting release, and I can't wait to give you my honest review. Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Airy. Welcome to the StudioJake vidcast, where I talk about all things pop culture. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, ring that little bell if you're watching on YouTube so you get notifications, and also consider becoming a channel member. So I make no secret that I am a fan of the Rippaverse. Like iconic comics and big comics, they have consistently done amazing products, and that is certainly true of Gooding the Polymath. The reason I'm showing you my copy is because I didn't want people to come on and say, oh, you didn't actually read it, you're just a fanboy. No, I actually participated in the pre-order campaign. I got the variant cover D, which is really cool, by the way. So everyone knows I actually read it. I actually got to see what was on the inside, and I can participate. So I'm going to read you the review I posted on StudioJakeMedia.com, and then I'm going to expound on those thoughts. So to kick this off, of course, it is written by comic book writing legend Mike Barron, who is one of my favorite comic book writers, and he is joined by the very talented, as I mentioned earlier, Will Conrad and Jay Brown. Will Conrad did the artwork and Jay Brown did the coloring. Of course, they worked together to bring us Gooding the Polymath. So what is it about? It is about the character Cato Gooding, who initially appeared in the Isom series, and he is an inventor in Florence Park, Texas, where a lot of the stories, in fact, most of them have taken place. He does all kinds of amazing technical services. Now, this story is an origin story, so you find out that was not always the case. He was actually bullied very severely in high school, particularly by one jock named Ron Hodges. Gooding, I don't want to give anything away, but Gooding kind of outsmarts him at one point to show that he is smarter. He goes on to become valedictorian of his high school upon graduation. He has this really sweet girlfriend. From there, he expands his resume and ends up becoming this highly influential inventor who does all kinds of amazing stuff. Meanwhile, Hodges goes on an extremely different path. He joins the military, but then gets involved in some illegal activities before getting picked up by a black ops private security firm. The two of them, they're on vastly different paths, but they're going to come together in a climactic event. So just to start off, I just want to say how much I loved the artwork. Conrad does a good job with the character designs as well as doing the technology that is presented in the comic. He did not cut any corners and truly brought it to life. Likewise, Brown complemented Conrad's excellent work with his own excellent work as far as coloring goes. He really made the story pop, and he didn't mute anything. Now, with the flashbacks, he could have done that, especially since this is an origin story. But no, Jay Brown was like, no, we're going to get this done. I'm a professional. We're going to make this colorized. Dang it. And good for him. He did an amazing job with the characters, with the terrain, with the background illustrations, and of course, the inventions. The two had really good synergy for this issue. Of course, Mike Barron proves once again why he is a writing legend. Since this was an origin story, I have to be honest, I didn't really know what to expect from it because they really haven't done an origin for Rippaverse. I mean, Yaira had flashbacks to her origin, but it was still kind of set in the present day floor spark. So I was kind of like, what is this going to be like? But I was not disappointed. Mike Barron does a good job of showcasing the different paths that Gooding and Hodges take, and he teases that final showdown that's coming very well. And I have to be honest, to say I was hooked would be an underestimate. I enjoyed it a great deal. I stayed up late reading it. I actually tried to read it in two parts because I like to do that, even though it's one release and there's not chapters in it necessarily. I always try to read comics more than one day, and I had to really fight that because I wanted to keep reading it, and that's how good it was. I was really hooked. Now, if I could nitpick one thing about it, I do feel like there was way too much exposition. They're trying to build out Gooding's world and Hodges's world, and so I get that, but it just felt like the story arc with Hodges and Gooding, it was really interesting, it was really good, but I didn't really need to see all the safety checks that Gooding does for his inventions. I think if we had seen him engage in more risky behavior, sprinkled in a little bit more action, I felt like it would have been tighter. Now, that being said, with that in mind, whatever conjunction you want to put there, I can honestly say that I enjoyed it. Baron was the perfect choice to pin this entry into the Rippaverse because here he lets his talent shine. Let me tell you, he crafts a very interesting story of a man who is using his past as a bullying victim to rise while a rival uses it for his own selfishness. It was impressive, surpassing my expectations for what is to come from the Rippaverse. That was pretty much what I wrote on StudioJakeMedia.com. What I wanted to say to you who is watching, I think that the Rippaverse is on a huge rise here. Now, Gooding was not $1 million campaign like previous entries, but no one ever said, and there are people gaslighting with this point. They're trying to say, oh, if this one doesn't make $1 million, it's not a success. Bull malarkey. No one ever claimed that each release of the Rippaverse was going to make $1 million. At least no one principally. Might have had some super fans who hope that, and I certainly hope that every single release would be $1 million. This one didn't make the $1 million mark, but it sold very well. Definitely sold better than a lot of DC and Marvel releases. And I believe that the Rippaverse can hold its head high and proudly add Gooding the Polymath to its library. Mike Baron does a fantastic job. Will Conrad does a fantastic job, as does Jay Brown. This is an impressive book. If you are into indie comics, definitely order your copy of Gooding the Polymath from the Rippaverse. You will not be disappointed. You will have fun. You will have a good time. And I think that is true pretty much of any of the Rippaverse comics. They have consistently given us good products, ones that I enjoy, ones that many others enjoy, and I think you will especially like this. I mean, if you loved Mike Baron's work on The Punisher, on Batman, on Nexus, on Badger, you will definitely like his entry into the Rippaverse, Gooding the Polymath. Definitely pick yourself up a copy. If you like that video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, share it out to all your friends, tell them what you think about it, and tell me what you think in the comment section below. Be sure to subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications every time I post a new video like this comic book review. Also, consider becoming a channel member where you can get all kinds of cool perks, including first look at several of my videos before they go to the general audience. If you're watching me and you're like, hey, I don't want to support you on big tech, no worries. Click on the link to my locals community. It's in the description of this video. It's where you can support small indie creators like myself by giving me tips for articles that I post there or becoming a monthly subscriber. You can also purchase one of my books. This is my latest release, Blessed Child. It's a fantasy romance novella. It's got a disgraced knight seeking redemption and an elf princess who actually finds herself pregnant with a human child. It's an exciting adventure. I think you will enjoy it. So you can head on over to Amazon.com. You can get it in paperback, ebook, or hardcover editions. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake. 'Cause I've been living